On June 23rd, the UK will vote on whether to stay in or leave the European Union.
It's difficult to know exactly what's going to happen if the UK votes to leave, as no country has ever left the modern EU. But that hasn't stopped both sides of the debate from predicting the future.
So, here are 3 things we definitely don't know about Brexit.
Known unknown number 1. How long will Brexit take? To leave the EU, the UK would likely invoke something called Article 50 of the EU Treaty. That would give the UK and the EU 2 years to hash out an agreement over how they'd separate. Prime Minister David Cameron has said that he would invoke Article 50 straight after a Brexit result, but there's nothing to say he has to. Even those campaigning to leave the EU say there should be no rush, so he could wait days, months, or even years. Plus, Cameron might not be Prime Minister for long. If the UK votes to leave, Mr Cameron, the head of the Remain campaign, may be forced to step down, which could slow the process further. If no deal has been reached within 2 years, Article 50 could be extended. But the UK and 27 other EU governments would have to agree to an extension. So it could be by 2018 or after 2020. Nobody knows.
Known unknown number 2. What will happen to financial markets? A UK vote to leave the EU will almost certainly push the pound down, at least against the dollar. But other markets? It's a gamble. British government bonds may strengthen if you believe they're a safe haven in times of stress, or if you think the Bank of England will step in to the rescue. But if the pound falls dramatically, the bank may have to raise interest rates, which could push down the prices of those government bonds. Stocks would probably fall because markets worry that a Brexit would hit European growth. But would UK shares do worse than their European peers? That's unknown. And since nothing like this has happened before, the analysis could be all wrong.
Known unknown number 3. What will happen to freedom of movement? EU citizens currently have the right to live, work, study, or retire in any EU country. The Leave campaign argues that this limits the UK's ability to curb immigration. But with 1.2 million British expats living in Europe and 2.9 million EU citizens living in the UK, a separation would be far from straightforward. In the event of a Brexit, mass deportation and repatriation of people is unlikely. But government analysis on withdrawing from the EU warns that the rights of British expats to work and access pensions and healthcare in EU countries may no longer be guaranteed. The end result would depend entirely on what kind of deal the UK could strike with the EU post-Brexit. If the UK agreed a deal to maintain full access to the single market, it may have to accept continued rules on freedom of movement. Either way, the outcome is unknown.